When it comes to scary movies, I personally am not fond of them. Not because they're bad, but because I'm a wimp and hate scary things. If you couldn't tell already. However, not too long ago, my friends and I watched this movie called Wreck. Wreck is a Spanish movie that is a found footage type of movie. So today, I'm just going to be talking about it and what my thoughts are on it. And before I go in further, I'm just going to put a spoiler warning. So with that being said, let's go. So the movie starts off with TV hostess Angela and her cameraman Pablo covering a typical night at a local fire station. After doing some mediocre interviewing, the station receives a call about an old woman who is trapped in her apartment building. Arriving at the scene, first responders entered the apartment whilst Pablo kept recording. They first approach a woman who seems erratic and is covered in blood. As they confront her, the lady lashes out and starts biting the necks of one of the cops, which is a pretty gruesome scene. After some struggling, they manage to pry the lady off of the police officer and immediately take him downstairs as he bleeds out profusely. By this time, a crowd has formed at the lobby, but the doors are completely barricaded by the outside. The authorities then make themselves known that a virus is spreading throughout the entire apartment building and that they need to remain inside until further notice. By this announcement, everyone begins to panic, but the firefighter named Manu uses his Sigma male grind set to calm everyone down. Fast forwarding a bit, a health inspector finally comes into the building and explains to the residents that a dog came into question when it had a virus and it was traced back to the very apartment that they had been staying at. Everyone then looks at the woman and her daughter, since they explained earlier that their dog was taken to the vet recently for a similar disease. Just then the little girl bites her mother's face and flees upstairs. This then leads to more and more deaths in the apartment, and Angela and Pablo eventually are cornered to the very top of the building in which they are in the penthouse. Upon residing in the penthouse, it is discovered that the owner of the penthouse was responsible for the virus. Shuffling through documents and research, the pair discovered that a Portuguese girl was supposedly demon-possessed and then was taken for research by the penthouse owner. The owner then began to perform experiments and concluded that the girl is infected with a virus that is heavily mutating and extremely contagious. Not wanting to stray any longer, Angela and Pablo look for a way out. Pablo used his camera light to see around the attic when the infected girl bursts out, breaking the camera light. Now in complete darkness, Pablo utilizes the night vision mode of the camera and notices a demented, scary, disfigured creature, which is presumably the Portuguese girl. Having no other choice, the two quietly avoid her, but Pablo makes noise and is inevitably eviscerated by the girl. Angela is also in disarray and falls on the ground with the camera now facing her. As she struggles to find any sign of exit, she is dragged away into the darkness, never to be seen again. After doing some research for this movie, I have learned that it was shot with not so known actors. In fact, most of the actors, I say it on quotes, were their actual occupations, meaning that the firefighters and police officers were actual firefighters and police officers in real life. Moreover, it has been stated that they acted upon improv. Given only the scene and no lines, they had to act on the spot. Another fun fact is that this movie's budget was only $2 million, yet made over $30 million in box office records. Also, apparently, there are three other movies that coincide with the plot, in which there's a sequel, and I believe there's a prequel and then another sequel. Words cannot describe how terrifying this movie really is. My initial reaction when my buddy suggested this movie was that it's going to be scary or it's just so cheesy. Well, let's just say I got the scary part correct. I think what made this film hit was because of how real it is compared to other found footage films. This movie showed the rawness of recording real-time events. There isn't a high quality definition or any good lighting or crisp audio. It's just pure camera footage. Moreover, it didn't really show that the characters were untouchable. They did not perceive the main characters as a group of fighters who are protected by plot armor. But instead, the film shows their human nature and just how vulnerable they are against these zombies. Another thing that I wanted to mention was the ending. When they arrive at the penthouse and discovering that it was demon possession, that's when things took a turn for me. When watching this, it was clear that some virus had taken over and something went horribly wrong. But what we were not expecting was that it was caused by a demon possessed girl. And when they revealed Patient Zero, that is when this film was not only demonic as hell, but it was good in plot twists. And overall pretty scary, and it just shows the appreciation of the makeup artists. that worked on this movie. Overall, me personally, I would rate this movie a solid 10 out of 10, and I don't really say that lightly. This movie really wowed and shocked me in more ways than I can count, and I'll be honest, it shocked me more than Avengers Endgame. I know that sounds controversial, but that's the truth for me. And I highly recommend taking a look at this movie whenever you can. And yeah, it's a pretty good movie and overall, and that's it for today's video. If you guys want me to make more movie reviews, I guess, just let me know. And as always, I'll talk to y'all later.